Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode where I will be discussing exclusively modern soccer cards today. I appreciate anyone who viewed the previous video. Thank you so much. I seriously never expected that level of support on a really long intro video where I simply just talked about how I got here. Now we're going to talk a little bit more detail and give some more opinions about what I see in the modern soccer card side of things. The first and most important part of this whole video is that there is no right way to collect. Buy what you enjoy. Have fun. I think sometimes the number goes up and the monetary aspect of things sometimes clouds people's judgment and minds as to what's cool, what's collectible, and what you should be doing. I think it's a really personal discussion everyone has to have. What do you like? What do you want to be here for? And whatever reason that is great, is great. Stick to it and have fun, please. I have broken down the eras of soccer cards right here as to how I see it. I don't know if this is generally accepted or not, but today we're going to be talking exclusively 2014 and upwards. However, everything beneath is really impressive, and I love the foundations that are set for soccer card collectors for whatever era you are interested in. On the modern side of soccer, things are very, very unique compared to any other American sport. They had manufactured scarcity starting in the 90s. I think the first game used patches were on hockey cards in the 90s as well. This wasn't the case for us. For soccer, we were completely ignored all the way up until 2014 when we had our first high-end American-produced set. 2014 World Cup Prizm, 2015 Flawless, and 2017 Topps Chrome are the perfect pillars for soccer cards, but there is something for everyone in these three sets. All three sets are truly collectible. I see people, regardless of player, buying up these cards because they are the first. 2014 World Cup Prizm has national team kits. 2015 Flawless is really our first example of seeing super high-end cards, from autographs, game-used patches, and these cards fetch ridiculous values. I actually am a little bit unfamiliar with this set. I don't really explore it, but I have nothing but respect for it and really can see the passion of many collectors buying into this set as, the first example of high-end, truly high-end on-card autographs, game-used patches. Even relatively uncollectible players are collected within the set. That really is the making of what is a good foundational layer for a set within soccer cards. And as well, 2017 Topps Chrome, unlike 2014 World Cup Prizm, has clubs. Some people want to collect the clubs. They're a Liverpool fan, they're a Chelsea fan, and the national team doesn't interest them. I think the fact that we have all three of these as the first set for soccer in American, on the American side of things on cards is huge. The perfect foundations are right here for what everything after is going to be built upon. These three sets all feature Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar and are licensed cards. I do think licensing is very important for cards. I understand that Leaf and Futera exist. That's honestly not for me. I do have Leaf cards that I think are cool, but I just prefer to stick with the branding, as I think within collectibles it's very important. Firsts are generally collectible in sports cards and in anything that has a market going up and down. Comic books, shoes, you can find plenty of examples of it where firsts are usually where you're going to be looking. Rookies are an example of that. The first card, the first year. This is going to be something that is unavoidable in modern soccer cards. Rookies drags a lot of people into the market and is kind of how some people start. The promise of number going up and the spectacle of being able to watch a player grow with you is appealing, is super appealing. And I have nothing wrong with people who chase rookies. However, there's a little bit of punishment to be felt for anyone who's collecting rookies. You're not going to hit 100% of the time. It is high risk and full of speculators. a big part of this market is people here for money. People want to buy a card in low, sell it for higher. And yeah, this is a big reason why many of you are here. For me personally, not the case. I don't want to be in sets or players where it's majority speculators, because they're in it for the money. And being in it for the money is just full of weakness. Player performance can totally outdo this. We've seen examples of this with Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland completely skewed anyone's perception of what can happen to rookie cards. Haaland was straight parabolic. He never really had a bad moment when he was at Salzburg to Dortmund to Man City. And a lot of people saw this and had this expectation that this would be the case for many other players that I've seen get tons of, of speculators, of people hoping for good performances and a career much like Haaland. However, this is just simply not the reality for most. And I think people that are in rookies and focus primarily on rookies sometimes just don't last in this hobby. It's pretty brutal, and this expectation of return is killer. It's killer. I don't think that this leads to a healthy market, and I hope that, well, I don't hope, but I love to see less speculators and more collectors. The more collectors I see, the better I feel about soccer. And really, where you can find collectors is within these three sets. The majority of cards are going to trend down. Again, player performance and hype, media hype, news can make cards go up. This can happen, don't get me wrong. However, the way that I can see people making money most consistently is within PSA grading. I am a big PSA supporter. They have issues, don't get me wrong, but this is essential for our market to run efficiently. And I really think that this is the best way for people to make money within soccer cards. Again, soccer cards are not graded out in any fashion. We have the lowest supply of slabs within the 5 major sports. I think the best opportunity is to find raw cards, maybe from these sets, but others as well can grade and often find returns. I think this is the most reliable way to, buy a card, do something with it, and then make a return on it. For me, I buy slabs that I want to keep, and if I'm in the position to sell it later on, great. The collector versus investor versus speculator flipper is always a topic. For me, I really think that most people are a combination of both, a mix of many. But I've found it most enjoyable to just focus on collecting. I really don't understand how some people can do this full time and or have the mentality that this is going to lead them to financial freedom. I think it leads to an unhealthy place within soccer cards, and you got to focus on what you like for you to have the most fun. And I think that's the best way to honestly find returns in the long run. All mentality should be focused on the long run. I think it's very infrequent for you to buy a slab, sell it a month later for 2x. So going back to my point here, Haaland skewed everyone's perception of what soccer cards can be for buying rookies. Again, this is really unlikely to happen again, where someone just goes straight up. It was just straight up to the treble. Americans do not watch football. So this is who you're competing with. It is a PvP environment for many of these people who go to card shows once a week, buy, sell, flip, grade. Americans don't watch soccer, and here's why. It costs $636 per year to watch all the major leagues, including UCL and MLS here. I did not include Fox Sports, which has Cristiano Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia, because that's like 70 extra bucks, and it's a little ridiculous. Americans, watch usually one team, one league. And so when I hear about these rookies that they've been watching tons of, I really just think they've been seeing highlights. Of course, there's people that watch Ajax and other teams dedicatedly, but it's extremely few and far between. And I know most people are not watching every game, every league. America dominates the market, but we don't watch the sport. I am a Derby County fan, and without these illegal websites, I would have zero chance of watching the games. This is very similar to anyone who wants to watch a young prospect in the Dutch league. It's very hard, and if you don't use illegal streaming, it is necessary in order to enjoy the sport fully, or else you're just watching one league, and it's really hard for you to prospect in that scenario. You're cutting out a big portion of people who could watch the Australian league, let's say, and there's a young prospect there. That's a terrible example. Um, so when someone brings up a League One prospect, you need beIN Sports to watch that. And I just honestly think most people get their news and who they want to collect from hype, from news articles, and every other reason outside of actually watching the game. Again, this is the American focused market, and it's a really big issue that Americans do not watch the sport. No one's paying $636 per year to watch all the leagues, including Champions League. Illegal streaming is vital for you to enjoy this sport, unfortunately. And if you are not doing this, then I question how you can possibly know about all the rookies. Yeah, it's impossible. It's impossible. Most people focus on one league, and that is the Premier League. The Premier League rookies are always super expensive comparatively to the other leagues, and this is because Prem is way easier to watch than anything else. This is why I am so excited for Europe to get into the market. They're very educated and young players, and not just young players, but the history of the sport. So many Americans got into this in 2019 and did not have that background of information about R9, Ronaldinho, Cruyff. We can go way back, but their perception is different. Players like Di Maria. If Di Maria was around doing what he did now, he would be super hyped. He would have much higher prices. Eden Hazard, another example. It was all about timing, and Holland has really skewed that for many people. The lack of ability to actually watch games here in America greatly affects the way that people trade, buy, sell cards. This is a big reason why I like Pulisic. Pulisic is just easy. Sometimes you don't need to get too adventurous. My next point here on Modern, something that is growing that I really like to see is card shows. Card shows have become more popular since 2019, and a lot of this has to do with things opening up again, right? However, I've been to many card shows, and every single one has been immaculately disappointing. There is legacy tables at every card show I've been to where you'll find plenty of baseball, plenty of vintage, plenty of football, hockey. You'll find no soccer. This is just my experience, and this has been really frustrating for me because I've gone to many, and every single time you have to just sift through modern cards that are really easy to get. But for me personally, it's just a total waste of time to go to card shows. However, I think if you go to Europe and you go to the card shows there, it'll be completely different. There's no legacy tables. There hasn't really been card shows until the last 2 years. And you're going to find majority soccer cards there. Soccer, F1, European sports. Here in America, it's so disappointing to see zero presence for soccer. Oftentimes, anytime I show up with a soccer card collection, we're forced into the corner of whatever card show there is. I'm having to meet other collectors walking around trying to find the soccer. It's not there. I just don't think it's worth it unless you're looking to avoid shipping costs and or the risk of losing a card in the mail. Oftentimes it's just fruitless. It really is. I can't even describe. I did go to the Dallas card show. That was the first card show I went to. I traveled for it. I was so excited to see the National. All the people that showed up to the show with soccer found each other with jerseys, but there was like 9 of us. It was really disappointing. And these legacy tables at card shows are just killer. And also, all these influencers are going to card shows, and they're not even buying cards for themselves. They're not really showing you a wholesome, good experience. These are just whatnot auctions. Starting at $1, come to my whatnot auction for all the cards I just bought at this card show. It's really weird. It's disappointing, and I don't know how this changes. Besides my hope, my little light here for European shows growing. If you collect what you enjoy and what you truly enjoy, I think you're in a better place. You'll be happier, and you definitely won't be going to card shows because it's a lot of rookies. It's a lot of new modern cards that are just so easy to get. Man, I'm talking down here. Soccer card collectors are just the we're just abused. We're not appreciated, and we're not even valued. We're seen as like an F1. Um, Americans outside of soccer card collectors really look down on us. And it's because at card shows we're bunched into a corner. There's 9 of us. We're all just mingling. Meanwhile, the whole card shows, wheeling and dealing, tons of modern basketball, tons of vintage baseball. It's very different. This is the environment. This is the environment that the Europeans can come into and really have an opportunity. But despite this is exactly the type of market that I want to be in. I don't want to be where all the masses are, and it helps that I also just simply love the sport. I can see firsthand at these card shows that we are bottom of the totem pole, and eventually you always hear about all these people watching soccer. It makes sense for some convergence at some point, and I think there's a lot of opportunity left within these big sets because of that. People will naturally flock to them, and with 2014 and 2017 Topps Chrome, we have perfect foundations in place for when people do come and we can be represented at these shows. I expect us to be respected one day, and today is just not that day, but it's going to be through these 3 big sets. Modern's full of speculators, but there's also some collectability. I'm going to talk about 2014 World Cup Prizm and 2017 Topps Chrome. I'm leaving out Flawless. It's not necessarily my area, but it has everything needed to be that perfect high-end set. It's almost so established to the point that I don't even need to discuss. On the other side of things, we can get into a deep dive of 2014 World Cup Prizm here. The base gem rate is these percentages. It's pretty low. It's difficult to get 10s. And what I love about this set is it went through a crazy grading boom. I think this grading boom was essential in building out this set for the long term, and it had a lot of catching up to do. The numbered cards are where it gets really interesting. The percentages of gems is so low. Condition rarity is in full effect here with this set, and that's going to appeal to a lot of people. I simply cannot get Messi and Ronaldo PSA 10s of any numbered variations. It's really difficult to find, and even the silver refractors within the set go above $2,000 for Messi and Ronaldo at this time. I'm lucky enough to have one of the PSA 10s of Neymar, and that's one of my favorite cards. I love it, and I really waited so patiently to get it. As soon as it came up, snagged it. Talking a little bit more about 2017 Topps Chrome, this is where things get a little different here. The condition rarity really isn't a thing within this set. These cards were printed in premium quality. The gem rates here are much higher, about 2x higher, versus 2014 World Cup Prizm. But there's appeal to that. Some people want to collect gem mint 10s. I often have to settle for PSA 9s within the numbered section of the 2014 World Cup Prizm, and that's not for some people. The numbered cards here, look at these stats. It's not even close, but there's appeal in this still. People like the availability to get gems. So getting into some details here, the big 3 are represented perfectly here within 2014 World Cup Prizm. That's really the first look, and there's tons and tons of important players that are represented in soccer history who have their first premium card in the set. Chiellini, Sergio Ramos, they're collectible players within the set. I love that. Within 2017 Topps Chrome, Mbappe is a huge driving factor for this. Mbappe's rookie card is the 2016 sticker that features another player on it that most people have no idea who this man is. Some people like that, some don't, and there's a great set here for them for people that can't get their minds wrapped around his true rookie card. This Mbappe drives huge value, and honestly props the setup. As well, the legends are on show here. Um, I say right here, finally a set with big clubs, and this is true. Many people think of Ronaldo and Messi as not necessarily Argentina and Portugal, but Real Madrid and Barcelona, and that's really where a lot of people watch the majority of their games. Players play most games with their club. Both of these get a +1 for simplicity of parallels. Within Ultramodern, it gets ridiculous how many different parallels there are. It becomes almost meaningless. If you want to look at the 2022 World Cup Prizm, there's breakaway Prizm and there's regular Prizms, causing a complete kerfuffle of numbered cards. It doesn't even make sense, and it's the unfortunate reality of Fanatics and ultra modern cards. Luckily, these two sets, when they released, was at a time where there were no collectors and they didn't feel comfortable printing in mass. The boxes being this price is a good representation of how sought after this set is. Um, they're pretty close, honestly. Um, Within the box, the odds are really low of actually hitting a great card. There's not even a guaranteed autograph in the 2014 World Cup Prizm, and I think you only get 7 parallels. I don't even know if that guarantees numbered cards. There's pulsars and all sorts of waves and weird stuff like that. But the numbered cards are really what I find appealing. While the pulsars provide almost a cheaper option if you want the gems. I've done this with Ronaldo, and is really the best way for me to get in at a cheaper level while still staying within the set. Versus over here with 2017 Topps Chrome, you get 1 autograph per box, which is very different to the modern day soccer card hobby boxes. Most feature 3 autographs, and it's really hard for any box to be, getting that demand from collectors day one without it featuring, more juice in the product than just, 1 autograph and some parallels. The thing about 2014 World Cup Prizm that I love is it's a World Cup set. I think that this is one of the most unique things about soccer cards that we have going for us, and that's that the World Cup is every 4 years, and there's a World Cup set made for each tournament. I cannot wait for the 2026 World Cup set to come out, much like the 2022. I was super jazzed for it. This creates some scarcity and will always be something that is collected within our hobby. Versus Topps Chrome. This set comes out every year. It is a Champions League set, and I love the fact that this limits the teams that are in the product. It limits the amount of players that nobody wants parallels of. This is very important. I love that it's cutting out maybe some of the Bournemouths or clubs that are less collected. One issue with this 2014 World Cup Prizm set, I'm a little scared of Panini. Fanatics is monopolizing our entire industry and really trying to squeeze Panini out of the game. I don't know about their long-term, their longevity within this hobby, and they have the licensing to the World Cup. So that's up in the air. I don't know what'll happen there, and if Panini does go away, I don't know if that affects the value of the set. To be seen there. Versus here, with 2017 Topps Chrome, Fanatics now run the printers at Topps, and I'm pretty sure that this secures them making Champions League sets well into the future. It's going to continue to be a staple within soccer cards for years to come because of the security with Fanatics. And just to note, I own a ton of 2014 World Cup Prizm, and I own 1 card, which is a Gareth Bale refractor within 2017 Chrome. Just to be fully transparent about what I own, and I own 0 flawless. And I don't know if I'm going to go that route because, again, I no longer really collect autographs and patches in the same way I used to. So by no means are the 3 sets that I mentioned the only collectible sets within soccer. For example, I think any World Cup set that's ever been made is collectible. It's one of my favorite places to go for simplicity, but as well as that, there's other examples of sets that really have good fundamentals, and you could say that are collectible too. Just for me, these are the 3, that's it. And this is because I have a serious long-term mindset for being in this hobby. I think not only the player is important, but the set, and it has to be a combination of the two. This does not apply for PSA grading. you can find opportunities for a raw card where it could get a 10, and you can usually find good multiples in that case of a 10. Um, totally different. I just think that when you buy a slab, it's got to be good. I don't necessarily want lower end slabs because that negates your ability to buy the higher end stuff. I really like to wait and be patient and really go after the targets. I still have a card that I'm waiting 8 months at this point for. It's a modern card, and I can't get it. I've been waiting endlessly, and I'm gonna wait to make a big purchase until that one pops up. Basically, just don't blow your ammo. I am of the opinion that every card out there that's made has a home, right? All cards are awesome. Okay, don't get it just don't get it confused. Don't get it conflicted. I like all cards. I just think some are more investable and long term than others. But a card can be cool for a month. That's fine. It's just the way of the game, and that is how cards are. Play the hot hand, play the long term. There's multiple ways to be here. Every market has started with vintage. Now, this is an interesting point because I think that a lot of people came in 2019 and saw what was there versus other markets where people grew up with these cards. So I think a lot of the discrepancy is that in the sense that we didn't have a market when Di Maria and Hazard were playing really well. So it creates kind of a scenario where we're going backwards. Um, we started with modern, and people are now looking back at what is there in the history of soccer cards. It's a kind of interesting dynamic, and I think there's a lot left to be evened out. That's why I'm very bullish on the vintage side of the market. I think there's a lot left to kind of be discovered and be repositioned. I think especially within soccer, the best cards here are the ones that are difficult to get, ones that you're not able to pick up every day. I run into this issue at card shows, like I mentioned, where it's a lot of cards that are really simple to get. I'm not so much talking about variations, but just generally, there's some cards that don't pop up. Like I mentioned, that 8 months wait that I'm currently going through for a specific card. I just think, especially in soccer, there's a lot of patience you have to have versus other markets where it's a little more built out. This is a good barometer for if a card's actually truly collectible or not. Is how long you're gonna wait to see that card pop up. Again, if you can see it every day, it probably is not a good long-term card for a place to park your money. This leads me into whatnot. This is a new development since 2020 that I don't necessarily like. The card market is desperate for instant liquidity. People don't like to wait 7 days for an auction to end on eBay. And so these big influencers are really pushing whatnot so hard for people to buy and sell on that platform. However, it's kind of BS. You have to be a big influencer to have people in your stream bidding up these cards. I've gone in myself, I've never bought anything. And of course, the one time I'm in, it's a guy begging for you to bid up this card. It's worth so much more than the current value. It's a really strange place to be, and I'm really disappointed when I see people going to card shows and they're saying every card I bought today is going to be live on whatnot. I do feel like it's a big rinse of their community, and they're offloading cards that they don't want. I could be wrong on this, but I certainly would never sell a high-end card that I just mentioned that's very difficult to find on whatnot because you have no idea what value you're going to get. It's really just a dumping ground to purge your community. That's really how I see it. I'm really not a fan of whatnot and the way that things are going. And box breaks live over there too. I just think it's a complete wasteland for the hobby. All right, and this next one. This next point is a recent development in the last few months, and I think this is the biggest threat to the hobby that I've seen. And this is Kurt's Card Care. I've seen this become accepted by some community members, and I can't describe how disappointed I am. I think this is terrible for the future of sports cards, and I don't understand how anybody would possibly want to collect a card that's been submerged in Kurt's Card Care solution. We don't know the long-term implications of this, and it's really just a way for people to get gem mint 10s or higher grades artificially. I think people that do support Kurt's Card Care are only looking to offload whatever card they're putting in juice, rubbing down with wax. It's really just for sellers to dump on collectors. I think PSA is sacred for this hobby to continue in a long-term fashion. And if PSA can't spot this, I have serious questions for the implications of what this could do. They're selling tons of kits right now, and I see it, being accepted more and more as just, what can we do? And I really don't know what we can do.
I think trimming and sort of like coloring or altering the color are clearly not allowed. That's clearly not okay. But there's a real gray area when it comes to what you were talking about, buffing out scratches or things of that nature.
Look, I agree with you. Absolutely no to trimming, absolutely no to recoloring, to those forms of alteration. But look, guys, I am now in the camp that I believe cleaning a card should be okay. I want to see PSA actually rethink their stance on this. And look,
this is so concerning to me. I don't know. I mean, truthfully, the asset class has taken a step back after seeing this. That's the truth. People are not going to disclose when they undergo Kurt's Card Care with a card. They're simply not. It's just a way to try to extract more value out of the card and that person who's paying. Because again, gem mint 10s fetch the highest value. It's really just a game of greed. I hate it. I hate it so much, and I got serious questions for the long-term implications. I am in pain when I see a vintage card especially get drenched in this Kurt's Card Care juice. I really didn't want to put this on the whiteboard, but I really think this has only become a bigger problem. And I think everyone has some serious questions to be asking. However, I really don't engage in the drama of the hobby. I think the hobby is what you make it. I prefer to just stay on the collector side and keep it all sunshine and rainbows. I have my path of what I want to collect. I've had that honest conversation. And really, I just want to build something that's going to be, again, cool in 20 years, right? I'm going to be here for a long time. And finally, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support. And if you want to leave any questions, feel free to leave them below. I'm going to kind of accumulate them and maybe make a video at some point to answer some questions. So thank you again. Appreciate the watch, and good luck out there.